Okay, Mike, you can start. Yeah.
Are we showing now?
Yes, we're live now, so go ahead and start.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to our session on outreach and reaching out. And I just want to confirm again, Heidi. Heidi, can they see us or can they see my slide?
Yes, they can see your slide and then they can see all of you guys too.
Okay, I wasn't sure. Okay, I'd like to welcome you here today for our presentation. I'm trying to go back to the screen. I can't see my big slides. Hold on one more second. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Let's do this one more time.
So Mike, you can also, instead of making the Excel events page or your PDF, your PowerPoint full size, just make them smaller so that you can have them like side by side on the screen.
That's what I was having difficulty with.
Okay.
Okay.
Also, while we're here too, if you guys have any questions throughout the presentation, please put them in the chat box, okay?
How is that? Is now the slide showing up on the full screen?
Yes, it's perfect.
Okay. I didn't want to move it around. I thought it would screw up the way you guys are seeing. I want to see myself too. There we go. Well, I welcome you again to our presentation today. We have a group of tribes today presenting on different outreach methods. And the tribes work together on a regular basis. But I guess first let me introduce the tribes. We have Hopland Band of Pomo Indians, Middletown Rancheria Pomo Indians of California, Redwood Valley Rancheria, and the Scotts Valley Band of Pomo Indians. Our presenters, we have Eileen with the Redwood Valley Rancheria. Let's see if I can pull up our bio stuff. Eileen is the environmental director with Redwood Valley Rancheria, and Redwood Valley Rancheria is a member tribe of MLSTEP. Next, we have Terri McCartney, and Terri, I'm trying to read their bios. And Terri is the environmental director with Hopland Band of Pomo Indians, and that Hopland Band is also a member tribe of MLSTEP. Oh, sorry. Did I go forward? There we are. I'll just stay on this slide trying to go back and forth. Then we also have Patty Franklin, Tribal Project Coordinator with the Scotts Valley Band of Pomo Indians. Patty, where are we here? I lost Patty. Patty's a member of Scotts Valley Band of Pomo Indians, a former tribal councilwoman, and part-time Tribal EPA staff as a Tribal Project Coordinator. Next, we have Terri Logsdon, who's the environmental director with Scotts Valley Band of Pomo Indians. Terri has been serving as environmental director with Scotts Valley Band of Pomo Indians for 3 years. Terri began her position with the tribe as after the multi-tribal hazard mitigation plan process was already underway and helped complete that. And after serving as a recycle coordinator at Lake County, the farm to school coordinator, and working on promoting and supporting local food production and overall resiliency for the tribe. And then moving on to my co-worker, Luya Rivera, who has worked with Middletown Rancheria in various capacities, including youth tutor under the Indian Child Welfare Act, tribal secretary officer, and the county department. In 2019, Luya joined the tribe's environmental department to assist with outreach to the tribe. As a member of the tribe, Luya attributes her focus, I can't see it all, focus on tribal needs to the interactions with elders and youth that has served over the years. Through her work, Luya appreciates the opportunity to develop ways to increase awareness of environmental issues and researching and implementing educational opportunities. And lastly, myself, I'm the environmental director with Middletown Rancheria and have been working with tribes for the last over 20 years. But we won't go into my whole bio. So let's see here. Well, I'm going to move on to the next slide. As I mentioned, the tribes here today work on a regular basis as part of the Mendo Lake Sonoma Tribal Environmental Programs. That's an effort with local tribes to network and share together the information that we might have and then help other tribes. If tribes have a question, especially new staff, we can kind of guide them to the appropriate Region 9 staff at EPA or local agencies that might help with their tribal needs. As you can see here, we have sorry. I'm trying to move my slide around. Oh, didn't mean to do that yet. There we go, back to that. We have a meeting coming up next week that Middletown Rancheria is hosting. And below that, you can see the tribes. All the tribes of Mendocino, Lake Sonoma are members of the ML staff. There's no expectations as being a member. The tribes can come and go to the meetings as they need or as they feel they can contribute. But we're always here. The audience changes over the years, but it's been a great resource for the local tribes. So from that effort, we came up with the idea of trying to share what we've learned as a group and outreach. And I want to give you this an outline of the sessions, presentations today. We're going to start off with some pre-outreach planning questions, and then we'll move into individual presentations by each tribe on different air quality issues, tule education, solar suitcase, and pollinators. And then we're going to wrap up with some outreach challenges and questions from our participants. So I think I'll let the team take it from here, and I'll move on to some of our first questions.
Hi, can you guys hear me? We're good? Thanks, Mike, for that introduction. Yeah, so ML Staff, we're just a group of all of our local tribes, and so it's been great for me. I've been a newcomer. This is my third year as environmental director, so all of you have been great help to me, so thank you. So some of the things that we wanted to discuss beforehand is to determine our audience and community communication methods. When we discussed our outreach, some of the questions that we put together as a group was how are we communicating to all of the membership, or are we selecting a focus group like those that live on the Rancheria reservation? So some of my examples were when we decided to do like the waste characterization, that's going to be mainly focused on our membership that lives on the Rancheria, since we are looking solely at that waste characterization there. But looking at any kind of outreach that you're doing, focusing on whether you want all of your membership participation and feedback, or you want a select group or a select demographic within your membership. So that's one thing that we kind of all discussed in the beginning when we're looking at outreach. And then I'm not sure who's going to talk about targeted age groups. Who's next for that one?
Yeah, I can talk about that. Hi, I'm Terri Logsdon with the Scotts Valley Band of Pomo Indians. And, you know, because Scotts Valley doesn't have a rancheria and there's very few tribal members that live on the tribal lands, we, you know, discussed we did a number of outreach projects. And when we focused on education and environmental education outreach, we decided to target the mailing of the boxes to different age groups. So those that had children, you know, got games, and those with elders got things that were specific for elders and adults or a mixed age. It certainly made it more complicated to go through the lists, you know, instead of having the exact same thing in all of our mailings that we did. But we felt that it was really worth it to target it that way. So who wanted to speak about types of technology?
So this is Terri McCartney with the Hopland Band of Pomo Indians. And we had a very steep learning curve when COVID started, because the Hopland Reservation is fairly isolated here, and we've often struggled with internet and connectivity issues. And so when it became really apparent that we would have to do a lot of online and Zoom meetings, we had to learn. And so the tribe purchased laptops for all of the students here, and they also paid for the internet connections for the tribal community, so that we were able to start communicating online with the tribal members. But again, we had issues with internet connectivity and and also teaching the members how to actually use the online forums. So we had to also find the best platform for meeting between Zoom or GoToMeetings or Teams meetings, because they all had different challenges for the tribal members and for the staff. We still are not able to often have in audio and video, as you can tell. We can't have audio and video online meetings at the same time. We just don't have the strength of connectivity here. So I think that we have to be cautious about our planning of outreach so that we're not disappointing people and having them watch us struggle while we're trying to do our presentations. We've learned that. So we try to be prepared for the limits of our technology.
And along that same vein of types of technology, some of the issues that we saw, even though providing, like Terri said, computers, at Redwood Valley, we did the same. We were able to provide computers for each household for all membership, as well as printers and Wi-Fi extenders to help with connection. But then we also had the PSPS events here, so that also brought its own challenges with connection. And so that's just something to keep in mind, that maybe use of technology strictly can be really a pro and a con.
Yeah, and particularly early on. I mean, for us, one of the first things we wanted to do was an outreach on Zoom geared towards youth. And the kids, they were so sick of being on a computer all day in 2020. You know, they had to be in Zoom school most of the time. And with the connection issues and the broadband, the lack of broadband, it was really, really a challenge to kind of finally come up with a happy medium.
Okay, Mike, do you want to stop sharing so I can start my presentation?
I wasn't sure we're all set there. Thank you guys very much for starting that off. I'll stop sharing.
Okay. Okay. Can everybody see my PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay, great. Oh, hold on a second. Okay, so like before my introduction, I work for Redwood Valley Rancheria as the environmental director. And so what we decided when COVID first really hit, and we were really gung-ho about extending our flag, air quality flag program that we started the previous year, we weren't really able to do what we wanted to initially. So we had to change our outreach. So what we came up with was a mini flag outreach activity that we did on the reservation, on the Rancheria, as well as locals that lived within Mendocino County. So the main thing that me and my team kind of started after we realized we weren't able to meet face-to-face is looking at outreach activities during a pandemic. How can we be creative and still engage with our community when we can't meet face-to-face like we were used to doing in-person workshops? So kind of the outline of this presentation is to rethink our outreach strategies, thinking outside the box. I'm going to talk about our outreach kits and the added costs that come with them as well. And then the product of making our mini air flag kits and the lessons learned and how we're moving forward. So when I got together with my guys, we had to think, okay, we can't do face-to-face workshops like we were planning to do, and we really wanted to do kind of our flag program with our youth and have them be really interactive. So we were like, how can we do our outreach, meet our deliverables for EPA, and still engage and have that communication with our youth and all the other members of the community. So once we started thinking about the different types of outreach, where first was like social media, can we use the tribal Facebook page? We already currently used it to post air quality data daily and in the previous year. So we wanted to continue to use that and still have that interaction. And on our Facebook page, it has kind of that, almost like this has a backstage where we can see how the algorithm's working, who's going to our page, how many shares do we have. That was working for our education department, who is the one that developed the Facebook page. And so as an environmental department, we wanted to be able to utilize that information too. But from the previous year, we saw that it wasn't really generating a lot of traffic for our posts. So we wanted to see how we could revamp that. But that wasn't going to be our sole kind of use to outreach. It didn't seem, it was just kind of not personal, and we didn't really get that one-to-one interaction really. So we're like, we can use it, but let's find something else. So we looked at increasing the use of mailers and flyers. We were already doing that. But as we saw, all the information that we wanted to give out was really increasing. So people were getting frustrated with having stacks of paper coming to them every week or 2 weeks, because that was the way we were trying to get information out. So it was good, but we tried to make it where it was some kind of interaction. So with our newsletters, we were putting in raffles or some kind of word puzzle or find this missing word, so that we can get some feedback from them, where they would have to drop it off at the tribal office and either win a prize or enter it into our raffle for a later date. We saw a little bit of more usage out of that, but it wasn't nearly enough like we were used to. So, and additionally, the increase in cost for mailing out really increased as well. So this wasn't a permanent fix. Some other things too that we were kind of shooting around was creating activities for at home. We thought this would be a really good idea. As Terry mentioned earlier, kids are sick of being on Zoom at the beginning, always on school, and parents didn't want their kids to be glued to the screen as well. They wanted them to do some other activities. So we thought creating a kit, something that they could work on that doesn't involve being in front of a screen, it involves them thinking a little bit more. So that one was kind of the one that we were keeping as the option. Then we thought in person with the pandemic guidelines. In the beginning, we weren't really keen on this, as a lot of our tribal offices had closed. Ours did too, to membership. And even thinking with the CDC guidelines and masking, we still didn't want to put anyone at risk. So this one was not an option early on. And then finally, using Zoom and GoToMeeting apps, those kind of platforms, we did want to utilize them, but we did also have connectivity issues. And we were still working on getting our tribal membership, the printers and computers. So that was still kind of in limbo and not something we wanted to do right away, because it didn't seem like a good option. And again, we didn't want kids to be too much screen time, as they were already doing that for school. So what we stuck with was the creating activities for home. So thinking about outreach kits, we also need to think about that added cost. So things to consider that we as a group also talked about during our meeting before we decided to do this presentation. We were throwing out what some of the issues we ran into. So mailing costs for the kits can vary depending on the size of your kit and the materials within your kit. And where the packages are going, I've noticed that when I was sending things to other zip codes or out of state, that the pricing for those kind of packages also increases and varies drastically. When putting your kits together, the material that you are going to include, making sure that you allow time for those materials and pre-orders to get to you before you let your community know that they should watch out for some kits, because then there can be some deadlines, and then you'll have issues with members calling you or saying, hey, we were supposed to receive this, you said we were, that didn't happen. So making sure you get all of that beforehand and before you send out any like watch out for our kits kind of thing. Also, what was a good tip was getting prepaid boxes that are already a flat rate, and they can reduce your overall costs when you're putting these kits together and mailing them out. Also, due to increased costs, be sure to review your budgets, because in the beginning we didn't think that we were going to do all of this mailing out or cost to purchase materials online. So that really increased our overall cost for outreach. And just making sure that your outreach is probably going to reduce because of the cost for materials. And also your time. Your time is going to be spent a lot on your outreach, putting these kits together, making sure you have everything done right. So you and your team are going to spend a little bit more time putting these all together, mailing them out, or dropping them off to members in your Rancheria, so you don't have to mail them out for that cost. So keeping all this in mind. So the making of our mini air quality flag kits. It was actually really pretty simple. So we decided to do that outreach, at-home outreach. So our mini air quality flag kits were fairly simple. We concluded, so cutout of flag, it's a template, and we also included the first 3 colors went the AQI, so it was green, yellow, and orange. And then we decided later on, and when we were getting to that point in time of the year where we needed the red, purple, and dark maroon or burgundy color, we would send those out as well. So we would send out the pre-cut flags, and then instructions on how to complete your flag, some air quality information, and then some activities that they could do as well as a AQI chart, so they could follow along with the colors. And we sent this out, primarily we wanted to focus on any household with youth that were probably around 6 or older that would be interested in doing this kind of activity. But in the end, we decided to give it to everyone, regardless if they had youth, as it would just be a fun little project. And we also wanted something for our elders to do. And that was made apparent to us by our education department that we need to include everyone, not just limit it to the youth, which we agreed. And we actually, after we made these air kits, we decided to do other projects that were more user-friendly across age groups and demographics. But this is what we had, and we put it all in a Ziploc bag, and if they were on the Rancheria, we hand delivered it to each home, along with, it's not in the picture here, but we gave with each flag kit came a pole or dowel that they could use, and we wanted them to stick it out in front of their yards and follow along with the Facebook posting that we put daily for the AQI for our area, but also we would post the giant flag at our tribal office so that they can see the changing flags as well if they were coming home or leaving. So these were the little kits we did. So after we did this initial kit, with some of the strengths that we were able to come together as a group, we were able to adapt and change our outreach fairly quickly. I was really proud of my team that I had and their creativity and thinking of what we can do instead of our normal workshops and face-to-face meetings. So I was really happy with what we could come up with, not just in the kits, but the variety of kits that we were able to produce. Some of the weaknesses that I would say come with this would be the additional costs that we weren't aware of when we first started, and we weren't thinking ahead before the pandemic that this was going to change our total outlook for the year. But also some of the weaknesses was the limited amount of outreach that we could do and the type of outreach, and also limited staff. Some of the opportunities that we found from doing this is that we were able to get actually a lot of really good feedback from the community. The communication also increased, and we were able to take their comments and adjust our outreach to fit their needs. It wasn't always good feedback. Some of the times we got really excited after this and ended up doing a whole bunch of kits and different kind of little projects to send out, and we send it out to everyone, especially on the Rancheria. And we got a few elders and other families saying, "Stop! I'm tired of all these kits." So we're like, okay, so maybe we do need to scale it back instead of including everyone, changing it and just making it to certain demographics. So that was good. But also we got a lot of good feedback from parents when we had specific targeted activities for youth, like the air quality flag. They said, we had a few parents tell our education coordinator that they were really happy that they were able to do an activity that didn't include being on the computer, and that it really made them happy. So that was something that kept pushing us to do some similar activities like this. And then of course the threat from all this activities that we couldn't be in person due to COVID. Potential exposures would happen, and our office would close down for a day or two, and sometimes our staff wouldn't be at work due to this to exposure. So we had even further limited staff, and then of course pushing back our projects, which didn't help when we wanted to get these done within this year. So that's all I have on my mini air flag program and our kits that we did. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
So we do have one question, and thank you, ladies. That was super interesting and really impressive. I love like outreach to kids and stuff. So that sounds like a great activity. Lori said that, so these sound both educational and useful and fun, but that's for me. Did you consider letting families pick kits, or is that the kind of thing like too crazy making? Like it's like maybe too much?
No. No, I did it. That's a good question. I did not consider letting families pick the kits, because what we did after we had a pretty good feedback from this one, we decided to do other kind of small arts and crafts kits. Like we did the little windmills, but using recycled material, and we would put those together. And we kind of went a little overboard, I think. We would do almost every 2 weeks, send something out. And we didn't do it all at once where we did several kits at a time. That might have been a better idea, to let people choose like, hey, this is what we have going on. If you would like this or this, let us know and we can send it to you. That's a good option. I didn't think of that.
I think both ways are great for, like it's nice to have lots of options for people to pick from, but also the consistency of sending it out like every few weeks, that's great. We have another question. Ted said, asked if you guys could provide the source of the kits.
Like if I ordered them from an online source, I did not. We actually created these all in-house. We purchased, actually the flags were made out of different material. We just needed them to correspond to the color, and we cut all those out ourselves. So I hope there's probably a way you can buy all these flags already done for you. But we were kind of on a time crunch, and when we did look into purchasing the flags like on Amazon or anywhere, it was going to take too long to get to us. So we just decided to do it all in-house, which again, that increased our time and on the making the activity.
Eileen, I don't know if you guys would be able to kind of share the different like list of materials that you bought and like the instructions that you sent, but if you could put that in the lounge in the outreach fund area, that would be excellent, because I bet Ted and a bunch of other people from who are listening today would love to do that too. One other question. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, yeah, I can provide just a list of everything we purchased. It wasn't too crazy. It's actually pretty simple and an easy one to do. So yeah, no problem. I can put that in.
Awesome. Lori had a follow-up question. She asked, did RV do the Tule ducks?
No, that was Scotts Valley, and we're going to talk about that. So that's a perfect segue. Thanks, Lori.
Take it away.
So, but first, I just, want to lead up to that, how we got to doing the Tule duck presentation. So, our offices were closed and staff sent home in March of 2020, with some staff just rotating through. So it made coordinating things really a challenge as well, just between staff members. But we worked with our social services department and put together care packages that included HEPA air filters with UV light, protective supplies, and of course, of 2020, rolls of toilet paper, gloves and sanitizers and masks that went out. And then, as Eileen mentioned earlier, shipping costs in the large boxes we found were really expensive because we don't have a rancheria. We sent things out nationwide wherever tribal members were. And then we found when we did it again, like she mentioned, buy the prepaid flat rate boxes and decide what fits. Don't buy everything you want and then buy the box for it, because that's really expensive. It's much more affordable to buy the box first. And they shipped them directly to you, and the post office would come and pick them up. So that made it easier because you could ship from your home, since I was working from home. And then in April 2020, we were scheduled with Patty's with the dance group to go to the Pacific Coast to gather seaweed and go to the Meyo Center for Marine marine science. But of course, because of shelter in place and travel restrictions, we didn't go. So in that first box, we sent out Oceanopoly. And then I found out anybody can get a Monopoly game made for any reason. So you can design your own Monopoly game. But we bought one that was pre-purchased for families to be able to pay or to play together. And again, and it wasn't something online. Let's see. And then in September 2020, we sent out, I'm looking for things that we had, like Meyo designed this from Guidiville, the Tribal Family Emergency Plan. And then we included items that free stuff from FEMA, which for planning and games with families and things to do. And then I hope Patty will talk about it a little bit, but she actually wrote and designed a book that has a lot of information and language lessons, and sent those out. And it's just really fantastic. And we could probably do a whole presentation on how she did that, or let her do that. One thing that didn't work, when we all got together and talked about it, we thought it would be a whole lot of fun, which was this photo bingo, to something that families could do for shelter in place. And we sent out the bingo cards, and we announced different, of the squares to send a photo to post to social media. We only had a few people play, and it was, as I mentioned earlier, I think everyone was just sick of being online at that point. And then for Earth Day in the following year, primarily it was Patty, and she's going to show a video. If you haven't, have you introduced yourself yet, Patty?
No, I haven't. Hi, everyone. My name is Patricia Franklin, and I am with Scotts Valley Band of Pomo Indians.
And she's going to show the constructing the Thule ducks, but we did an education, and we had people sign up and sent, Patty went and gathered Thules and sent them out to tribal members and to Scotts Valley staff. And so we just did a little bit of education. And so Patty, if you want to go ahead and share your video, I will stop sharing my screen.
Okay, here we go. Here we go. So all right.
Hi everyone, my name is Patricia Franklin, and I am with Scotts Valley Band of Pomo Indians, and I'm going to be demonstrating how we did some of our outreach during the pandemic. So this is going to be showing you how we made the mini Thule duck and how we held that class. The first thing was we had people sign up for the Talking Thules class, and then we mailed them 3 larger in diameter Thules, 3 smaller in diameter Thules, and then also 3 Thule weavers and some scissors. So the day of the class, we went ahead and walked them through this process. So the process is that you're going to take your 3 larger in diameter Thules, and then you're going to find the center and squeeze, squeeze, squeeze to weaken those fibers. And then you're going to take one of your Thule weavers, put it in the middle of those Thules in order to hold it there. And then you're going to wrap it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And then you're going to fold your Thule body in half like that. And then you're going to go down about 1 inch to 1.5 inches, and you're going to begin squeezing, indenting in a circle, sort of so that it indents it. So you're going to squeeze about a finger width like that. And then you're going to take another Thule weaver, and you're going to put that in between some of the tules to hold it there. Then you're going to wrap about 3 times again, and then keep that indent though. You want to keep that indent. And then you're going to stick that between tules like that. You're going to set that body to the side, and then you're going to grab your tule head and hold it in the same way that you did the others. So you're going to hold it like that, go down about 1.5 inches again, and then you're going to squeeze, not in a circular motion, just flat like that. And then you're going to put a tule in between again, like that, just to hold it there. Wrap it a couple times, and then I'm going to hold it like this, like that, and then wrap your tule around like that. That was the tricky part, because you want your bill to wrap it a couple times like that. And then you're going to wrap it around the neck and then stick it there. Stick it in between some of the tules like that. Grab your tule body. See how long you want your neck, like that. So I think I'll have mine about right there. So I'm going to grab it, my tule head, and then just weaken the fibers right there. Squeeze to weaken the fibers. Then I'm going to bend it up like that, and I'm going to measure it against my body because I really want it to fit in between here. So now I'm going to clip away the excess that I don't need. So I'm going to right there. And then I'm going to shove it in there. And it's a little bit tough to shove it in, but it's kind of good that it's tough, because then so you just shove it in like that. And then the part you left hanging over here on the body, you're going to wrap around. So 1, 2, and then somewhere. And then there you have it. And now we're just going to clean it up by clipping the excess tules. And then we're going to also shape the bill, whatever shape you want your bill to be. Shape feathers by cutting. And then you can also cut little ridges into the sides of the tules like that, just to make the illusion of feathers. Do that on both sides. And then that's it. They're tuled up. Thank you.
And all the participants really enjoyed. Goodness. Really enjoyed the class. We got really wonderful feedback. And Patty, do you want to say a little bit about the book? There was a comment about designing the book.
Sure. So the book was, of course, we had to go into action, right away. And at first, I had gotten some materials from a neighboring tribe previously, and they were sort of like drawings with language. And so it kind of gave me the idea that wouldn't it be great if we could do that for our tribe, but specific to our language and, some of the classes that we have done in the past. And so it just gave me the idea to start researching. So what I did was I went on and went on the internet, found out that you can actually make your own book through Kindle. And I believe there's other apps that you can use as well. But we use Kindle Direct. And so what I did was I went ahead and I watched YouTube videos. I did research, and then I decided, what we wanted in our book. I wanted to make sure that we had some language in there, that we had environmental, making sure that we're supporting the environment as well and educating the kids about the environment. So there was little things in there about taking care of the environment. And also we did some history specific to Scotts Valley. And then one of the things that I liked about it was that, coloring books are nowadays like $5 to $6 each. Well, that books, when we made it through Kindle, it actually ended up being like $2.50 each, because the author can buy 500 copies for that lower price. So, and that's just in case they want to do like a show where they do signings and they can sell them right there or whatever. But you can also sell them online. And our intent was not to sell them to the general public, but rather to just make sure that we were able to get them out to our tribal members, educate them, give them something to do during that time. So I think it was really successful. It was really neat because right after we, some of our youth group saw them because they were packing the boxes for us. Some of them we were able to have them come in and help pack the boxes, and they're my nieces, but they were all reading the book, and it was just really neat to see them enjoying it. So yeah,
That's
so
great.
it was a lot of research on it, and it's pretty simple. And I'm not very good with technology, so I'm sure other people could do it pretty easily that are good with technology. But yeah.
So along with the book, we also Patty sent out a flash drive with language lessons on it. So, and when you're trying to ship in little bitty boxes, things this size are really great and cost efficient. And so anyone have any questions? I think that's all we have for Scotts Valley.
That was super impressive, ladies. I am very impressed. So Lori would like to know if the YouTube video that we just watched, is that public? And if it is, could you put it into the chat? Because I'm sure everyone is going to want to go home and watch it again and share it and try to do something similar.
Yes, it actually is public, and yeah, I can put it in the lobby.
Thanks, Patty.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. That was so cool. I'm glad it worked.
You're welcome.
Inspiring to hear what other tribes are doing, because you guys have all been so creative. I just am super impressed. Maybe we'll give the audience a little bit, just another like 30 seconds if they have questions, because there is a little bit of a delay between when they put something in the chat and when we see it.
Oh, that's right.
I think, was someone else going to?
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say that one of the things that it really, I think, helped me with is realizing that we do need to make our own curriculums. There's just some things that, they're not going to be out there to purchase. So, it really helped us, I think, to really kick in gear and start asking, making those curriculums. Question being, okay, what is the first step and what is the second step, and how are people going to remember it? And how is it going to be that step-by-step process? Is it going to be a video? Is it going to be written materials? How are they best going to remember it? So, and learn. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, are you guys next?
Yes, we are. I want to thank you also for some great presentations, and I maybe utilizing some of those ideas in our next Earth Day event or next summer schoolie boat. I'm going to have Luya take a lead on the start of the presentation, and I'll try to add in where I can. Luya, are you connecting okay for the screen sharing?
Yes, thank you. Let's see, I'm going to leave my camera off because I think I have some internet slowdown here, but let's see.
Your slides are up okay. Your front cover slides there.
Okay, great. I'm not sure if I'll be able to see you guys, so I'm just going to go ahead and go through the slide if that's okay.
I'll let you know if somehow we get off slide.
Should I try this slideshow button or just?
I would just proceed if you've not already converted it. I would just, it's up to you, but I would just probably just click through it.
All right.
I can probably walk you through really fast if you
Okay,
want.
great.
So if you go to the slideshow on the very top.
Got it.
Okay, and then go to set up slideshow. And then hit the button. Oh, it's browse by individual window. Good. Okay. So hit OK. And then go back up to the top and go to from beginning.
Here.
Yes.
Okay.
You're all set up already. That's great.
Yeah.
We'll go from there.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, everyone. As Mike had introduced me, my name is Luya Rivera. I just joined the environmental department in 2019 as the community planning assistant, and I'm also a tribal member of Middletown Rancheria. So outreach during the pandemic. During this presentation, we're going to talk about who we are as a tribe, why we need outreach, and how do we reach our people. Middletown Rancheria is a federally recognized tribe established on 108 acres in 1910. Our ancestral lands cover the general region of South Lake County, California, which is near Calistoga. Our tribal membership includes Pomo, Lake Miwok, Wapo, and Wintun people. We have about 200 plus members. Most reside locally in tri-counties, but we do have members across the country. Because of this, we believe that communication and outreach is very important, not only for the tribe, but for our department. And the Middletown Rancheria Environmental Department, our mission is to protect, preserve, and enhance the people, plants, animals, and cultural resources of the tribe. In 2019 and 2020, we were able to increase our outreach opportunities by increasing staffing. And that was done through combining the funds from water and energy grants. So in addition to our environmental director, we now have a community planning assistant, and that's myself, and 2 environmental technicians who work on project base. So for our tribe, why do we need outreach? Well, for Middletown Rancheria, prior to the pandemic, we had already faced kind of a lot of natural disasters. We had wildfires, starting with the Valley Fire in 2015. We had the LNU Lightning Complex Fire in 2020, and also the Glass Fire in 2020. So these fires were very close to us. So they did cause evacuations for our tribal members, school closures for our children, and then that was just, the beginning, and then the pandemic came. So as far as the department, we had already been kind of in the emergency mode. So when pandemic came, we were, kind of, I guess, prepared, but we'll move on here. As a tribe, the pandemic really affected us as a membership. We had we have always had community gatherings and annual events that brought our people together. So when all of those were canceled, it just was really a shock to everyone. And right before the pandemic was declared, we were working on the hazard mitigation plan, and we were going to have a community workshop. So, like everyone else, we had business closures, school closures, the stay-at-home orders, but it really affected our department because we really focused a lot of our outreach on our youth, because when we do that, it brings in the families. So it was just prior to the pandemic that just because of air quality, all the wildfires, there was a lot of activities that were already canceled for the prior summer. The examples shown are the Tule boat races, which is from our neighboring tribe, Big Valley, which is just a wonderful event, and all the local tribes attend. There was a youth camp out that we had begun planning with other tribes, yet it was canceled as well. So as far as our department, we just knew that we had to do something, because the youth we still needed outreach. So the way we were reaching out to our people had to change. Like the other tribes were saying, we had our office closure. We couldn't just put a flyer up on the board. We couldn't, go door to door and hand out things. Since we're a small tribe, that's kind of how we did things. It was very personal. So we had to move to the use of Facebook, or just social media, text messages, emails. While we were all in the pandemic together, we had to close our office, so some of us were working from home as well, but we were still able to do some outreach. We had worked with another tribe, and that's Hopland, and they had donated seedlings to us, and we were able to distribute those to our tribe, our tribal membership. We also had created this flyer for composting. Our tribe, we had people who became interested in gardening, just like many other people during the pandemic. So we kind of went with that, and that was a way to keep outreach and to keep communication, and to let our membership know that we're still there. So, and as a tribe, we still are not having in-person events. So the department continued to focus on youth in order to bring in the whole family, like I said earlier. And this brings us to the bee pollinator Zoom, which is one of the activities that I think was just a really good example of how we, as a department and a tribe, we opened ourselves up to joining with the different agencies. So we met Conservation Works out of Sonoma County, and after months of waiting because of COVID restrictions, we were finally able to come together and create this bee pollinator Zoom, which we followed protocol. We said, okay, well, we can't have it in person, so we're gonna have it on Zoom. Our kids were already, on Zoom, they were online for school, so we knew, okay, well, they know how to work the platforms, they know how to go online. So it wasn't something that we really had to teach them. And it was also a hands-on activity. So that was something that we thought would be really fun, because at that time, at that point, after months of the isolation, I think parents and kids were excited to see something coming from the tribe, like, oh, we're going to do this fun activity. So it was actually it was a good fit to collaborate with Conservation Works, because it was funded by them, but we provided the outreach, and the coordination by our staff. We delivered these kits of really cute, if you could see in the picture, really cute little bee stuffy, and there was honey sticks for tasting, and that was also enjoyed by the parents more than the kids. There was different honeys flavored, and so that was really fun. But we were able to deliver educational activity with the emphasis on climate change and stewardship. And not only that, it just it was really nice to know that there were other people out there that still wanted to provide for our youth, provide something for them, something fun. And so, in closing, it's just what we learned was that collaboration is really necessary for our tribe as well as others. Just reaching out to them as well to see what they have done, what they have to offer, how we can work together. And then for our tribe itself, to continue with the online activities, with just the uncertainty of the pandemic, we just would rather stay safe. But I'll always keep the focus on the family and youth for our tribe. And I believe that is it. I think I might have added some extra slides there.
Well, that's a great view of an oak tree there. And I do want to add on, as the environmental director working with Luya in the tribe, I really try to pull on outside resources, such as the Conservation Works based out of Sonoma County. Many times your federal and state funding has very limited eligible activities. So as a tribe, our resources are limited, so I try to connect some of the nonprofits and other volunteer organizations in the area and try to partner with them. And Luya was able really to implement that or make it happen. Being a parent with the tribe, she has the connections with the families and youth, and that really enabled us to make the connection under these trying times. And I must say, the honey tasting, it was very successful in the sense that the parents that kind of watched along were brought into it with the cute little things, but also the honey tasting. There's like 4 different varieties of honey. We had members of the tribe afterwards talking about starting their own honey farm, which is a little ambitious, but someday we might get there. But I think it was a great example of how we could partner with outside organizations and make the best resources available for our outreach to families. So thank you again, Luya, for all your work into this. It's really made our department better connected with the families and under these trying times again. But I guess now we want to lead any questions, and I'll let Luya take the questions. Sure, already.
So maybe we'll wait for just a minute while the audience can write in some of their questions. But Luya, Mike, that is super interesting. I love the idea of a bee pollinator like activity kit in Zoom meeting. That's just genius. And it's so great to partner with either government, like local governments, or nonprofits, not only to get more funding and kind of, like be able to, do more with the few resources that we have, but also just to, it's like we're all doing a lot of the same things, and that's really working smarter, not harder. So I commend you guys. That seemed like a super fun activity, and I bet the kids loved it. So let's see if we have any questions. We'll give our audience just a minute. Yeah, Lori loved the pollinator idea. So creative. And it's such a great way to talk about climate change, which can be very scary, in our communities and kind of be overwhelming. But it's like working with pollinators, and those are just super fun for kids and adults. I mean, I think it's super fun. And it provides an in to talk about a kind of very daunting subject. So great job. Also, Delbert wanted to add that schools have protocols in place and it can be a challenge to get in for outreach. So doing those kind of Zoom meetings that you did, that's a great way to kind of work around that.
Hey, Terry, while we wait for questions to come in, do you want to get set up for your presentation?
Yeah, I think I'll put my
Terry gets set up. Lori did have another question. She wanted to know, are you guys going to continue this post-pandemic? So after things get back to normal, quote unquote, if they ever do.
Oh yes, I was about to add that as well. That just getting to know these other agencies is like it allows us to say, well, what more can we do later? And especially working with Conservation Works, it's just it's really great because they're so excited and they want to come back, and we want them to come back. And that type of project was really great because it's seasonal, and what they allow is, you know, plant these seeds and then we'll come back and we'll check out the flowers later. We have been continued to work with them, which is really wonderful. And we even were able to plant a pollinator garden behind our tribal office with them. And anything else, Mike?
No, I think it's been really successful in adding on to our community garden. We had a little garden with tomatoes and cucumbers, but now with the bee pollinator, we planted some perennials, and we had to put some fencing up to keep the deer back. But we're hoping once we can take the deer fencing out, it'll be more of an inviting environment to kind of get people to stop in and check out some of the things we planted. A variety of native plants included, with some of the other ones that are focused for bee pollination. But yeah, I think it's been a great addition to our garden.
Shall I go ahead and start now?
Yep, I think, Terry, if you're ready to go, I'll let you take the slides from here.
Okay, you guys can see the presentation there?
Yeah, Terry, go ahead.
Okay, good. Hi, everybody. This is Terri McCartney. I'm the EPA Director for the Hopland Band of Pomo Indians. And I think all of our tribes up here, the ML Step tribes, have pretty much covered the challenges that we've all faced over the past several years with wildfires and drought and pandemic and several environmental issues that have impacted our communities, ranging from evacuations to lack of potable water to impacted air quality. And so having COVID impact our outreach during this time was particularly challenging because it was a time when we really needed to do more outreach and more information for the community. So during the first year here in Hopland, we shut down pretty much all in-person outreach. We tried doing community Zoom meetings, and due to the cancellation of the intertribal youth campout that the tribes all contributed to every year, we attempted to do online week-long environmental outreach events with a different topic every day. However, at that time, our broadband was even less reliable, and so we had youth sitting in watching us with often no audio or no video, or no audio and no video. So that was not very successful until the tribe was able to update and upgrade our broadband. We did partner the first year of the COVID. We partnered with PG&E and We Share Solar to coordinate a Train the Trainer workshop, whereas we had a solar suitcase trainer come up and teach our EPA staff how to build these backup solar powered units that we can share with the community during public safety power shutoffs. And so this was basically our first in-person outreach event during the pandemic. And so it was a little, everyone was nervous. What are we doing? How do we do this? Are we following the correct protocol? And are we all going to get sick because the reservation had been closed to outsiders? And this was basically the first event with an outsider coming on the reservation. So we had our table set up outside with canopies, people 10 feet apart, 2 participants per table, hand sanitizers at each table, hand wash station and masks as you entered this little area. And we did it, and we videotaped it to be shared with the community online, and to teach the youth how to build these solar backup units, which we then shared with the tribal elders, so that during public safety power shutoffs, we built 7 of them, and we're able to give 7 of our elders these units so they could at least have some light, and they could charge their laptop batteries and telephones, their cell phones, and it also provided a little backup fan because the PSPS events normally happen during really hot times too. And so this little fan would be able to cool the elders down during these really, really hot times. So this was a really good kind of breaking the ice for us to have an in-person workshop. It worked out well, and we were able to share the information and the outreach information with the tribal members and the tribal youth. And then we took what we learned in 2020 and worked with PG&E Better Together Community Resilience Program and We Share Solar to actually expand the program because by then COVID protocol was pretty much standard, and so we were able to offer the workshop to 4 different tribes, and we ended up with about 40 tribal youth summer participating. And so We Share Solar brought in the kits for the youth to assemble. There were 2 kits per tribe, which they were then able to take back to the reservation. And as a little break and for something different, the youth also assembled solar water fountains, which was really fun because it was a super hot day. And so the youth were able to also get out there and play in the water a little bit and cool off. And so as a follow-up for this, the We Share Solar also shipped additional solar kits to the participating tribes for the youth to put together on their reservations. And so we were able to put together an additional, I believe, 6 units so far that we've shared with tribal elders here on the Hopland Reservation. So this was a pretty, I really thought this was a really good workshop for the youth to learn about, because they not only learned how to put together a solar suitcase, but they learned basically about energy, they learned about battery storage, they learned about potential training opportunities and work opportunities in the solar field. It was a really, I think, well presented workshop by We Share Solar. And so for evaluating knowledge of this workshop and how to get feedback, this is always a challenge at any events that we put on, because most people don't like to do written evaluations. We found that's very difficult to get people to do any sort of evaluation that's written, and so oral evaluations seem to work really better, and kind of frequent checking in with participants. How are you doing? What are you learning? Are you enjoying this? What would you like to learn more? What can we do to improve? I mean, we have done the pre-test and post-test, but again, those aren't very popular for either the youth or the general community. So they really like the oral interaction and talking and ideas like that. And the other thing I've noticed is that really just paying attention to what people are interested in, and where are the people asking questions, and what questions are they asking, and where are they tending to congregate. Like the fountain, the solar water fountains was really popular, and the kids really liked that, and they really got the how the solar panels were powering the water, and more panels would bring more water. So I thought that was a really good learning opportunity for the youth. And so the other thing we do is for assessing knowledge for the summary reports. It was pretty basic. How many youth participated in the hands-on building? And I would say pretty much every youth there participated and actually put some effort and some time into building the solar suitcases. And again, with how many youth participated in the hands-on solar water fountain project? And they all did. They were all right in there building it, doing the different projects and learning from it. And then how many youth learned the connection between hooking up solar panels to solar fountains and solar suitcases to make them turn on? So real basic learning, science-based. You know, if you do this, A equals B. And at the end of the project, the youth were all able to, we had a lighting ceremony where they're all able to plug in their light and turn the lights on at the same time. It was really fun, and everybody clapped and cheered. So that was fun. And then, so the other thing was, how many youth went on to further education, training, or employment in solar? And so this was what, again, was super encouraging. After attending this workshop and learning about solar, one of the Hopland Tribal Environmental interns was hired by a local solar installation company as a tribal outreach coordinator, which I really believe that he probably wouldn't even have applied for had he not attended this this workshop and seen how it works. So We Share Solar and PG&E Community Resiliency Program work with tribes all over the Western region to help increase resiliency during public safety power shutoffs and other power outages. They're also looking at other programs for the tribes and other outreach opportunities, such as what other needs can these solar suitcases fill. And so this, as part of the evaluation, the participants were asked, well, what else do you need during a public safety power shutoff? And it was brought up that a lot of tribal members need their medication refrigerated during public safety power shutoff. So we're now working on developing a solar suitcase and refrigeration, small refrigeration unit for elders and other people that might need their medications refrigerated during a power shutoff. So we're moving forward with the solar suitcases and always learning more and connecting with different agencies on this. So that is what our outreach was. Our biggest outreach was during the pandemic. And does anybody have any questions? I know we're running kind of late, so I hope I didn't take too long. But if there's any questions I can answer, I'd be happy to.
Nope, we're perfect timing. We got 15 minutes left.
Okay.
And you do have a question. I don't know if Heidi was going to read those off. We have a Dallas asked, can the solar suitcase be utilized for other than youth? Can you use that for an adult program?
Yeah, so what it is kind of it's a partnership between youth and elders. And so the solar suitcases were built by the youth to be provided to the seniors. But an interesting thing was at the end of the last solar workshop, we did have some tribal elders attend to receive their solar suitcases, and they were really, really interested in the construction of the suitcases. So I think it would be a really valuable project to also have a solar suitcase workshop for tribal elders and other community members, because I think they would enjoy it. They were really, really interested in the project.
Well, I personally thank you, because I really wanted to work. I know some of the local schools have done STEM programs, and I've not connected with the tribe here with that opportunity. I see Heidi included the link, We Share Solar, and I already opened that up and saved it to my bookmarks while the presentation's going on.
Oh yeah, They're so good to work with. They're really wonderful. They bring everything to the workshop, and they're very professional. They're there. They set up. They're very entertaining, and they really connect with the kids in the community. Yeah.
That's really an impressive program, Terre. I love STEM. As the daughter of an educator, I am fully supportive in any time that you can kind of marry those two. So that's really a cool project. And we don't have any more questions, but maybe the audience will. Maybe we'll wait another minute to see if there's a delay.
And following some of the guidance from Shasta, if we don't have any questions here, the EPA, the conference has an option. If you go back to the lobby, there's a lounges. And Shasta suggested if there's any participants that want to be more interactive, you can see and talk to each other in the lounge. There's a lounge called Outreach Fun. So when we get off of this, and Heidi's put it into our chat box. So when we get done, if anybody wants to say hi, I'm going to move to the lounge after we close and see if anybody is going to be there. But otherwise, thank you for your time today.
I see a question from Corolla. Did Meyo get a chance to share her drought billboard? Unfortunately, Meyo wasn't able to get on and present with us. She had made another commitment as a presenter for something else. So she wasn't able to get on, but hopefully later on she can share that. If she meets us in the lounge, I think she was going to try to get on later today.
I'll make sure that I put all the links that we put in the chat today. I'll make sure that makes it over to the Outreach Lounge if you guys don't already add them yourselves. I was wondering if maybe Terri could add the YouTube link for the Tule ducks that she had made. I know one of our other participants had to leave early, but he was very keen to get that link. And I tried to find it really quick, but I couldn't. But yeah. I'll search later if she doesn't.
Yeah, Patty has that link. I think she said, Patty, are you still on? Are you able to put that in the chat? Because I don't have the link bookmarked. But if not, she did say she'd put it in the lobby, but I have not been to the lobby, so I don't know how that works.
We'll make sure that we follow up with Patty at some point to get that video, because it was very impressive, and I think a lot of people would love to see that because you guys put so much hard work into it. So yeah, I am very, very impressed with everyone's outreach programs. They're really cool and innovative programs, and as someone that does a lot of outreach, I have taken a lot of notes and things that I'm going to try here. So thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. I'm going to jump off to the lounge and stay there for a few minutes to see if anybody drops in. And thank you again, Heidi, for all your help today. The slideshows went a lot smoother with some of your guidance.
Yes, thank you, Heidi.
Thank
My
you all
pleasure.
very much for working together. And Mike, thank you so much for facilitating and getting us all put together here.
It was an honor and privilege, like Heidi's saying. It's such a great team of outreachers. Many times as environmental director, I can just kind of put the pieces together, but it was a privilege to kind of introduce all your presentations today. Thank you.
Yeah, it was really great seeing everybody's.
Okay, well, thank you guys. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
I guess I just want to emphasize, we do this on a regular basis with the ML STEP group. And if there's any other tribes from outside our area, like I included the Zoom link when I showed the agenda. So if you ever have interest in attending one of our meetings just to see an example of how our tribes work together, just contact any one of us and we could share. We meet monthly and work on these outreach projects such as this, but also on environmental issues of the region, the wildfire impacts, Superfund site on Clear Lake, coastal issues. But yeah, so I think the ML STEP group is a resource for all tribes if they ever want to drop in and get input from how we've worked together. Thanks again.
Okay, let's maybe meet in the lounge if we want to keep going. Okay.
Okay. See you guys there.